All right, so get this. We're diving deep into some Thai newspapers.
Oh, cool.
From October 29th and 30th, 2024.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the economic buzz is real.
Yeah?
It's not just dry numbers, though.
Okay.
These papers are telling stories
Right.
about the government's big plans, businesses trying to navigate the choppy waters, and everyday people
Right.
feeling the pinch.
It's a fascinating snapshot of a country.
Exactly.
With a crossroads, isn't it?
The first thing that leaps off every front page is debt relief.
Oh, wow.
Daily News, Nonapu, Jadkarn. Daily.
Mm-hmm.
They're all hammering on about government initiatives to
Yeah.
tackle household debt.
Interesting.
It's clearly a big deal,
Yeah.
especially for vulnerable groups and small businesses.
absolutely right to point that out.
Yeah.
Household debt has been a thorn in Thailand's side
Right.
for years.
Yeah.
Almost like a hidden tax on the economy. So seeing it as such a dominant theme really underscores how seriously the government is taking it.
And they're not just dusting off the same old playbook, are they?
Right.
Daily News even mentions something called a debt clinic.
Debt clinic.
Yeah, what in the world is a debt clinic? Is it like a financial checkup, but on a massive scale?
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
Imagine a place where people can go,
Right.
get personalized advice on managing their debt, and maybe even explore options,
Okay.
like restructuring.
It makes me think of those free health clinics that pop up sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
This feels like that, but for your finances,
Yeah.
which is so important
Absolutely.
for people who might be overwhelmed or just not know where to turn.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
Access to information and guidance
Right.
can be just as valuable
Okay.
as any financial assistance.
So it's about empowering people.
Yes.
Not just throwing money at the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so debt clinics check. Yeah, there's another phrase popping up everywhere.
Okay, what's that?
The white paper.
The white paper.
It's in the Thai Post, Thai Rath, Khao Sod Siam Rath,
Uh-huh.
even Madishon.
Okay.
What's the deal with this mysterious document?
Well, the mystery unravels pretty quickly
Okay.
when you realize who's behind it.
Okay, who?
The Joint Standing Committee on Commerce,
Right.
Industry and Banking, or JSCCIB.
Ah, JSCCID. No, that's a name that carries some weight.
It absolutely does.
Right.
They're essentially the voice of Thailand's most powerful businesses.
Wow.
So for them to release a white paper,
Yeah.
essentially a roadmap for economic recovery, it's a pretty big deal.
Because they're worried.
It signals they're worried, yes,
Yeah.
but also that they're ready to roll up their sleeves and get involved.
And they're not shying away from bold ideas, are they?
Not really, no.
Thai Post mentioned the white paper recommends
Oh, yeah.
a third round of cash handouts. Remember those from earlier this year? Could that actually happen again?
It's certainly possible.
Really?
The JSCCIB has the government's ear, and cash handouts have been used before
Right.
with mixed results.
Okay, so we've got debt clinics,
Yeah.
a business-backed economic plan, and maybe even more cash handouts on the horizon.
Wow.
Anything else catching your eye in these papers?
There's one more player
Okay.
in this drama we should talk about.
Okay, who's that?
Paetongtarn Shinawatra.
Okay.
Thai Post gives her a lot of coverage,
Huh?
and Khao Sod keeps mentioning
Yeah.
big business having meetings with Ing,
Okay.
which is her nickname.
Now, why is that so interesting? Fill me in.
Well, to understand her significance,
Yeah.
you need a little background on Thai politics.
All right.
Ing is the daughter
Uh-huh.
of Thaksin Shinawatra,
Okay.
a former prime minister
Right.
who was incredibly popular
Yeah.
with rural voters,
Mm-hmm.
but also very controversial.
Oh, okay, so she's got a famous last name.
Yes, she does.
Or infamous last name.
You could say that.
But she doesn't hold any official position, right?
Not currently, no.
Okay.
But her presence in these discussions,
Yeah.
especially with powerful business leaders,
Right.
suggests she's a force to be reckoned with.
And Khao Sod even pointed out
Yes.
how public these meetings were.
Right.
Almost like a deliberate show of force, wouldn't you say?
It's a great observation.
Yeah.
It raises so many questions.
Like what?
Is she building her own power base? Is she positioning herself for a future leadership role?
Wow, this is starting to feel like a political thriller.
It's all connected.
Debt clinics,
Yes.
a business-backed white paper.
And to really understand what's going on, you need to look beyond the headlines.
Okay.
There are power dynamics at play.
Uh-huh.
Competing interests behind the scenes negotiations
Right.
that we don't even know about yet.
Oh, wow.
Think of it like a hidden subplot
Okay.
unfolding alongside the main economic story.
Ooh, I like that, the hidden subplot. Okay, so for our listener who might be new to all this, help them connect the dots. What are the big questions they should be thinking about as they read these papers?
Here are a few to start with.
Okay.
First, how will these debt relief plans actually work?
Right.
In practice, will they be enough to make a real difference for people struggling with debt?
Yeah, good question.
Second, will the government take the JSCCIB's White Paper seriously?
Right.
And if so, which of their recommendations will they prioritize?
Okay.
And finally, what role will Paetongtarn Shinawatra play in all of this?
Yeah.
Will she be a powerful advocate for change?
Interesting.
Or will she fade into the background?
These are fantastic questions.
It's like we're watching a real-time economic and political drama unfold.
We are, and it's a reminder that economics is never just about numbers.
No, it's not.
It's about people, their choices, their struggles, and their hopes for a better future.
A better future for Thailand.
All right, so we've got the stage set, the players introduced, and the tension building.
Right.
But let's dive deeper into some of these topics.
Sounds good.
Starting with those debt relief initiatives.
Okay.
We know they're a big focus.
Yeah.
But what are the solutions being proposed? Anything groundbreaking?
Yeah.
Or is this just the same old song and dance?
From what we see in daily news and No, it looks like a mix of familiar strategies and some potentially innovative ideas.
Like what?
Debt restructuring, for example.
Okay, so basically renegotiating loan terms.
Exactly.
To make them more manageable.
Yes, give them some breathing room.
For people, give them some breathing room.
Right.
But then you have these debt clinics, which feel fresh and intriguing.
They do.
And Daily News really paints a vivid picture of these clinics.
Yeah.
They describe them as one-stop shops where people can go, get personalized advice, understand their options, and even get help with actually restructuring their debt.
That's great.
It's like a financial wellness center almost.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights how crucial this service could be.
Right.
Especially for vulnerable groups and SMEs who might not have the resources or the know-how to navigate the complexities of debt management on their own.
So it's not just throwing money at the problem.
Exactly.
It's about providing support and guidance.
Precisely.
And for our listener, this is a key takeaway.
Yes.
Don't just focus on the amount of debt relief being offered, but also pay attention to the mechanisms being used to deliver it. Those can have a lasting impact.
Absolutely.
On financial literacy and resilience.
A lasting impact.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk more about this white paper that everyone's buzzing about.
The white paper,
It's featured in Thai, post-Thai Wrath, Khao Siam Wrath, and Matashon.
Okay.
Clearly, it's a hot topic.
It is.
But beyond suggesting cash handouts, what else is in this economic recovery plan?
Well, Siam Wrath provides a pretty good breakdown.
Okay.
The JSCCIB is pushing for a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Focusing on things like stimulating domestic consumption, encouraging investment, especially in key sectors like tourism and technology, and of course addressing household debt.
So it's a pretty comprehensive plan.
It seems to be.
Not just quick fixes. And the fact that it's getting so much coverage across different newspapers suggests it's being taken pretty seriously.
It definitely seems that way.
Okay.
Both the media and the public are paying attention to what the JSCCIB has to say. And remember, these are not just academics or armchair economists. These are the leaders of Thailand's biggest businesses. Their recommendations carry a lot of weight.
Okay, imagine you're at a newsstand in Bangkok. Flipping through these papers. One headline that would definitely catch your eye is the one in Khao Sod about Paetongtarn Shinawatra meeting with these big business leaders. It's almost front page news.
It's not surprising, really.
Why is that?
Aung Shinawatra is a fascinating figure in Thai politics. She carries the legacy of her father Thaksin, who was both beloved and controversial during his time as prime minister.
And now she's stepping onto the stage herself.
Precisely.
Even without holding an official government position.
Yes, and that's what makes this so intriguing.
What is it?
For anyone interested in Thai politics and economics, is she simply offering her perspective as a concerned citizen? Or is there something more strategic at play? Is she positioning herself for a future leadership role?
It
adds another layer of intrigue to the whole economic landscape.
This is starting to feel like a political thriller.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Mixed with an economic drama,
yeah,
debt clinics, a business-backed white paper, and now a potential political heir making moves.
It's all connected, and to really understand what's going on, you need to look beyond the headlines.
Okay.
There are power dynamics at play,
right.
competing interests, behind-the-scenes negotiations
that
we don't even know about yet. Remember that hidden subplot we talked about?
Yeah, the hidden subplot.
It's all happening just below the surface.
Right.
And those nuances can really shape the ultimate outcome of these economic policies and initiatives.
So for a listener who's trying to make sense of it all, what should they be paying attention to?
Here are a few questions to consider.
All right.
First, how will the government actually implement these debt relief plans? Will they be effective in reaching the people who need them the most?
Right.
Second, will the JSCCIB's White Paper recommendations be embraced by the government? And if so, how will they be prioritized and put into action?
Okay, and finally, what role will Paetongtarn Shinawatra continue to play in shaping the economic discourse? Will she emerge as a powerful advocate for certain policies?
Interesting questions.
Or perhaps even take on a more formal role in the future.
It's like we have a front row seat
to
this real-time economic and political drama.
Unfolding in Thailand.
Unfolding in Thailand, we do. And it's a reminder that economics is never just about numbers.
Right.
It's about people.
Their choices.
Their choices.
Their struggles.
And their hopes for a better future.
Exactly. Yeah, it brings us back to those GDP growth targets.
Right.
And the public's rather gloomy outlook.
Nuna's throwing around numbers like 2.8% growth. And Pujad Karndali mentions 2.7 to 2.8%.
Okay.
But then you read Thai Wrath.
Yeah.
And their headline is all about confidence being in short supply.
Interesting.
It seems like people aren't buying into the hype.
Yeah. It's a classic case of numbers versus feelings.
Right.
And I can see why people might be skeptical.
Yeah.
Thailand has faced some economic headwinds lately.
Right.
Global uncertainty, inflation is a worry.
Yeah.
And those high household debt levels we talked about, they don't exactly inspire confidence.
It's like the government is saying, look, everything's going to be great.
Right.
But people are looking around thinking, really? Because my wallet's feeling a bit light.
Exactly. And that gap between perception and reality can be a real problem.
Yeah.
Consumer confidence is a powerful force in economics. If people feel uncertain or pessimistic, they're less likely to spend money, invest, or take risks.
Right. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If you believe the economy is going to be bad, you act accordingly. And that can actually make things worse. Precisely so.
Yeah.
Even if those GDP targets are achievable, if people don't feel it, if they don't believe it, it'll be much harder to get there.
Speaking of things that are hard to believe,
did
you see that quote in Thai Wrath?
What was that?
The Prime Minister is promising to help people avoid having their pickup trucks repossessed.
Really?
It sounds almost too specific to be true.
Wow.
I know.
It's pretty specific.
But it's a perfect example of how economic anxieties manifest in everyday life.
Okay.
In Thailand, pickup trucks are more than just vehicles. They're essential for work transportation, family life.
It's like losing your pickup truck is like losing a limb almost.
Right.
And it shows how deeply personal these economic issues can be.
Okay.
It's not just about abstract numbers.
Yeah.
It's about people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
Their ability to provide for their families.
Right, their sense of security.
Their sense of security, exactly.
Okay, so let's shift gears back to those debt relief plans. We talked about how widespread this issue is.
Yeah.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What are the actual solutions being proposed?
So.
And is there anything truly innovative here? Or is it just the same old playbook?
Based on what we see in daily news and Nana, it's a mix of both.
Okay, like what?
Debt restructuring is a common strategy.
Right, that's where you basically renegotiate the terms of a loan.
Exactly.
Maybe extend the repayment period.
Yeah.
Or lower the interest rate to make it more manageable.
More manageable for the borrower.
For the borrower,
yeah. It's a pretty standard tool.
Okay.
In the debt relief toolbox.
Yeah.
But then you have these debt clinics.
Yeah.
Which feel much more novel and exciting.
I'm really intrigued by these debt clinics.
Yeah.
Daily News describes them as these one-stop shops.
Okay.
Where people can go get personalized advice on managing their debt, explore different options, and even get assistance with the restructuring process.
That's great.
It almost sounds like a financial wellness spa.
I love that these clinics could be incredibly valuable, especially for vulnerable groups and SMEs who might not have the resources or the know-how to navigate the complexities of debt management on their own.
So it's not just about throwing money at the problem, but also equipping people with the knowledge and tools to get back on their feet.
To get back on their feet, precisely. And for our listener, that's a key takeaway.
Okay, what's that?
It's important to look beyond the amount of debt relief being offered, and pay attention to the mechanisms being used to deliver it.
Okay.
Those can have a lasting impact on financial literacy and resilience.
Okay, let's move on to this white paper that's generating so much buzz. We know the JSCCIB, that powerful group of business leaders, is behind it. And we've heard whispers about possible cash handouts. But what else is in this economic recovery roadmap?
Well, Siam Rath seemed to have a pretty detailed breakdown.
Yeah, what did they say?
It looks like the JSCCIB is advocating for a multi-pronged approach. Focusing on boosting domestic consumption, encouraging investment, particularly in key sectors like tourism and technology, and naturally addressing household debt.
So a pretty holistic plan. Not just Band-Aid solutions.
Not at all.
And the fact that it's being covered in multiple newspapers, post-Thai Rath, Khao-Sod Siam Rath, even Madishan, suggests that people are taking it seriously.
Absolutely. The media is paying attention. The public's paying attention. And I'd bet the government is paying attention too. Remember, this isn't just some think tank. These are the people who drive Thailand's economy. The recommendations carry a lot of weight.
All right, let's picture this. You're at a newsstand in Bangkok, browsing through these papers. One headline that would definitely jump out at you
is the one in Khao-Sod about Paetongtarn Shinawatra meeting with all those big business leaders. It's front page news.
It makes sense. Ing Shinawatra is a fascinating and somewhat polarizing figure in Thai politics. She carries the legacy of her father, Thaksin, a former prime minister who was wildly popular with some segments of the population, but also incredibly controversial.
So even though she doesn't currently hold any official position, her name still carries a lot of weight.
And that's what makes her involvement in these discussions so intriguing.
What is it?
Is she just offering her perspective as a concerned citizen, or is there something more strategic at play? Is she positioning herself for a future leadership role?
Khao-Sod mentions that she's been very vocal about the need for policies that address inequality and create more economic opportunities for all Thais.
That's a message that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
Especially those who felt left behind during previous economic booms.
It echoes some of the populist themes that her father championed during his time in office. It's too early to say what her ultimate goals are. But her presence in these discussions adds another layer of complexity to the economic landscape.
This is starting to feel like a political thriller.
It is a bit, right?
We've got debt relief plans, a business-backed white paper, and the daughter of a former prime minister making waves.
It's all connected and it's all unfolding against the backdrop of these competing interests and hidden power struggles.
It is.
Remember that hidden subplot we talked about earlier?
That's the hidden subplot.
This is where it really comes into play.
It's like there's this whole other drama going on.
Exactly.
Beneath the surface.
Beneath the surface, influencing the decisions being made and the direction the country is headed in.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are the big questions our listeners should keep in mind?
Here are a few to ponder. First, will these debt relief plans actually be effective?
Will they reach the people who need them the most?
Will they reach the people who need them the most? And will they truly address the underlying problems?
That's a good question.
Second, will the government actually take the JSCCIB's white paper to heart? Will they implement those recommendations? And if so, which ones will they prioritize? And finally, what role will Paetongtarn Shinawatra ultimately play in all of this? Will she become a powerful advocate for change? or will she fade into the background?
Good questions.
These are all questions that will play out in the coming months.
Right.
And the answers will have a profound impact on Thailand's economic future.
Yeah, they will. This is interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really feels like we're watching this all play out in real time.
It does, doesn't it?
And you know what's really striking me?
What's that?
As we're going through these papers, there's this undercurrent of anxiety, but also this resilience, this determination to find a way forward.
Yeah, you see that a lot in Thailand.
It's like we've been through tough times before, we'll get through this too.
Exactly.
Attitude.
And that's where those small, specific details become so powerful.
Like what?
Remember that Thai Wrath article?
The one about the pickup trucks?
Yeah, where the prime minister is promising to help people avoid having their pickup trucks repossessed.
It sounds almost funny at first.
Yeah.
But then you realize
how important those trucks are.
To people's livelihoods.
To their families, their sense of identity even.
It's not just about a vehicle.
Right.
It's about a way of life.
Exactly. And for the prime minister to address that so directly, it shows he understands the anxieties people are facing. And he's trying to offer concrete solutions.
Okay, so we've talked about debt relief,
the
white paper, the political intrigue surrounding Shinawatra.
Okay.
But what about those GDP growth targets?
I guess those
No Not is predicting 2.8%.
Yeah.
Pujad Karndali says 2.7 to 2.8%. Are those numbers realistic?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
On the one hand, Thailand has a history of bouncing back from economic challenges. They've got a strong foundation in tourism, a growing tech sector.
Right. So the potential is there.
Absolutely. But on the other hand, they are facing some serious headwinds.
Okay, like what?
The global economy is unpredictable. Inflation is a concern.
Right.
And that high household debt continues to cast a shadow over everything.
And let's not forget that public sentiment we talked about.
Oh, yeah, that Thai Wrath headline about confidence.
Yeah, confidence being hard to come by, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, even if the government and businesses are optimistic, if people aren't feeling it, that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
In the chicken and egg situation, do you need economic growth to boost confidence?
Right.
Or do you need confidence to drive economic growth?
It's a bit of both, really.
Right.
They feed into each other.
Yeah.
And that's what makes analyzing Thailand's economic outlook so fascinating.
Yeah.
And so complex.
Look at this.
You have all these different factors at play. It's hard to predict how they'll interact.
It's like trying to solve a giant economic puzzle.
Yeah.
But the pieces keep changing shape.
Exactly. But that's also what makes it so important to pay attention to those smaller details, those anecdotes, those glimpses into how everyday people are experiencing the economy. Those can often tell you more than any statistic or government report.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Thailand's economic landscape, what's the key takeaway for our listener?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is this. Thailand is at a crossroads. There are challenges, without a doubt, but there are also opportunities. The government is taking steps to address debt.
Right.
Businesses are putting forward solutions. And there's a new generation of leaders, emerging people like Shinawatra, who are bringing fresh perspectives and a real sense of urgency.
It's a dynamic situation full of both uncertainty and potential.
Exactly. And as we've seen from these Thai newspapers, understanding the nuances of Thailand's economy requires going beyond the headlines, digging deeper into the stories, the sentiments, the struggles, and the hopes of the people who are shaping this country's future.
So to our listener, we leave you with this final thought.
What's that?
Keep an eye on Thailand.
Okay.
This is a nation in transition.
Nation on the move.
A nation on the move, and the next chapter of its economic story is just beginning to be written.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.